Hello, I'm Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're watching Riffs, a special edition. And our guest with us is Jammie Bosstel, the lead singer from Bosstel, and also Praise the Fallen. Now, Jammie, we're talking to you today because you just released your debut solo album. I understand you have it with you. Can you hold it up for the audience? Beautiful artwork, that takes me back, Jammie, to when I was a kid and used to actually buy physical product.
Yeah, man, it's pretty special. That's why I had it done. I did it for me, really.
I mean, why not? Do it for you. I mean, I would think as an artist when you go in and record these songs, that's kind of a great test that hey, I have to like them first, and if I like these songs, probably other people are gonna dig them too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And now, we have a different guest on this show. We do a show once a month, Jammie. And today I wanted to talk about, which obviously you know a lot about, being an independent artist and all that goes into making music. Now, what's the hardest thing about what you do? I mean, there's a lot, but would it be going in and recording and putting together an album like that? I mean, what is the process for that?
I just I don't know. I'm very gifted. I'm blessed for sure. But it didn't always start out that way.
Yeah.
I usually just write some riffs and I'll come up with the songs usually first on the acoustic guitar, and then it'll come to me, the ideas, the melodies and stuff, and then I'll throw the drums on it. This record was made with program drums,
Oh, wow.
and it's a program that's called Get Good Drums. They're absolutely amazing. The software you can get these days, you can get stuff, and your record can sound just as good as anything that's on the radio. It's amazing. Um, but I use Get Good Drums. I use a Boss Katana guitar on my amp. As far as that, I use a Guitar Rig 6. That's a plug-in for guitars, and then also a TSC Sans amp plug-in for my bass too. And then I play keyboards too and stuff. So the only thing I don't do on this record is the drums.
No, it sounds pretty good. I think people would not know, unless you tell them. And to me, if it sounds good, that's what should matter. Not that, hey, that's not a real drum. I mean,
You happen to listen to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I like a lot of songs now. One of my favorites was let's see, what is it? Something for Nothing. I really was digging that song.
Yeah, that one's getting a big response. It reminds me, it's got an Incubus kind of vibe to it.
It's got a
Kind of
great
reminds me
melody
of that.
to the song, and it's kind of one of those tunes that I think that people would like it. Kind of a crossover hit. I could see people not necessarily having to be in the metal, but they could dig that song, or it could even be played on the radio. I could hear that.
Oh yeah, it's the record's commercial. All the songs are really commercial and catchy. I like writing catchy stuff. And I like messing with loops and electronics too, if you can hear that. That's what separates this from Praise the Fallen. Bosstel has that too. Bosstel hasn't been as busy,
Sure.
so I had time to do this. I was sitting on a bunch of songs on my computer for the past few years, and I decided, hey, why let them sit here? I might as well put it out. So I put it out for streaming, I put it on vinyl, and I put it on CD. But it's out of the UK. It's made in the United Kingdom.
Amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's called elasticstage.com. You can order a record yourself, Jason. It'll send it to your doorstep right
Oh,
from that link.
I definitely got to do that. Now, like I said, a physical product is a big thing in my life. And I remember, when I used to buy albums back in the day, one of the biggest things was just looking at the beautiful artwork, which that obviously is a beautiful picture of you, Jammie. But I mean,
Thanks.
talk about that. Like, what goes into, like, I mean, I'm sure you have tons of pictures of yourself performing. What goes into pick? I mean, because you have to pick the right picture, and that definitely, I think, gets people's attention. That lets people know this is.
Well, it's kind of funny you said that. I was happened to be talking to my guys from England. I don't know if you know, I'm doing multiple projects. I'm doing Arson Radio, Bosstel, Praise the Fallen, doing the solo stuff. And then I'm working with being that I have a studio, I was doing a thing that was called Too Many Humans. It was a Nirvana tribute album I got asked to sing on. and
Okay.
they sent me the tracks here, and I did the vocals right here in my house, and it got sent, and then it got done. But then two of the guys, Dan Howard and Matt Larkin, are from that. We formed a project called Entwined. I've never met these guys face to face. It's strictly online, but we talk every day through Messenger,
Yeah.
and they're from England. And I sent them a few pictures. I go, what do you guys think? And I think it was Dan Howard, the guitar player, bass player, who picked this picture. He goes, "Do that picture. You gotta use that." I'm like, "Okay." And then I used it, and it looks pretty good.
I mean, that's the go-to guy to ask because I mean, it's a great photo. Like I said, I mean, especially for your debut album, you want to have something that really hold a memory for people. And I think that picture really says what it is, Bosstel.
Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and it was time to finally put something out by myself. I
Yeah,
literally did all these songs by myself, and I had a few special guests because I'm not really a lead player.
yeah,
There's three songs, Something for Nothing, Thinking About You, and In My Blood, that I had guitar players from the local scene here just play a few solos on. I'm already getting ready to work on my next record
that's
too.
great. That's great. Because that's the thing, Jamie. As long as I've been in touch with you the last couple of years. I've interviewed, as people know, I've interviewed you a number of times over the years, and it's been a while. That's why I reached out to you. And funny thing is, I had no idea at the time that this debut album was coming out. Really, just a matter of weeks before we did the interview, and it seems like you're getting a great response. And I think it's time for a Jammie Bosstel album, physical product to be out there because that's the thing with an artist like you. You put out a lot of great music, you write a lot of great tunes, and that's kind of the modern model, if you will, with releasing a song at the time. But I think for Bosstel fans, it's cool to have this debut album because they have a collection of tunes they can listen to in their CD player, maybe in the car on the way to work or something, or even on
Yeah.
the way to a Bosstel show.
And yeah, I had it put on CD too, and I noticed that I played the CD in the car. It's a lot louder than streaming because streaming compresses it a lot as far as the volume.
Yeah,
I think what Spotify does and a lot of streaming platforms, they match the volume of all the other artists. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
all the same as far as volume. I'm like, I'm wanting to crank it up in my car and I can't get it loud enough through streaming. So I popped the CD and I think I have that here too. No, I don't know. But the CD, I popped the CD in two, and it's loud, man.
wow.
Oh wait, here it is right here. Here's the CD right here.
Okay, wow, it definitely, and I
It
love
is a
that.
little different on the inside.
People a little extra something on the inside. I dig that. And oftentimes when people release their debut album, oh, I just call it Bostel or something like that. After me, I dig the fact, a little sassiness there with smart. Hey, let's call it debut. It's what it is. Not too much.
Well, I have the band Bostel.
Yeah.
This all happened like it started out as me doing this originally.
Uh,
And then it became Bostel. Bostel, the guys are busy. My drummer is a operations manager. Wayne is an operations manager of his company and stuff. So we don't have a lot of time to do a lot of recording. Um, Bostel did just drop a single too, Bird in the Berry. You can check that out too.
okay.
That's different because I start here just like I did with this stuff, and I bring it to them and we put it together with real drums and that. And then Praise the Fallen is all everything's real. As far as what's cool about this is I'm showing people that technology exists, and that it's 2025 and welcome to the new era. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can do a
I'm
whole
glad
record by yourself if you're
you
talented.
pointed that out because I mistakenly was not paying attention to the fact that and whenever I talked to you, I was talking about Bostel, the name of the band. Now now what I realize this is a Jamie Bostel solo album. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to confuse people
yeah,
because
yeah,
it did start out as Jammie Bosstel. That started during the pandemic. I was recording a lot of songs by myself. Bands weren't doing shows and stuff. And then the guys came along and we formed Bosstel. Um, Bosstel hasn't been able to record as quickly, right?
okay.
We're sitting on some stuff right now, actually. We've got 5 songs that needs to get done that we recorded in September. So just waiting on that to get
Yeah,
done. and in between waiting on that, I'm doing Praise the Fallen, I'm doing the Entwined stuff, and I'm also getting ready to do another project, another band that I'll be
Wow.
singing, another band I'll be singing in. I guess I'll put it out there now through you,
Okay.
called Arson Radio. That's
Arson.
really good. And
I mean,
Arson Radio actually started the same way this solo album is. If you listen to the Arson Radio stuff, like streaming right
yeah.
now, it's programmed drums. Programmed drums. The guitar player, the guitar player did it all. He did all the music, and he sent it to me, and I did vocals. And he's my friend. And then he hit me up, said, "Hey man, I want to put the band back together." I'm like, huh, "I'm down because the songs are awesome." So I got lots of stuff going on.
Oh wow, that's exciting. Arson Radio, great name for a band. I mean, who came up with that? I gotta ask.
Came up with that in 2000. We were together in 2011, 2010. That was a rough time, the economy and stuff. So we had some struggles. We couldn't keep a bass player. We kept going through drummers, typical whatever,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. But through the years, since then, I've stayed in touch with the guy, and he sent me songs like during the winter. He would send me songs, here, do vocals for this. I'm like, all right. Well, Wayne from Bosstel, my drummer from Bosstel, is going to play in Arson Radio.
oh,
Ryan, Ryan, who actually started with Bosstel, he had got a hand injury. He was out for a minute, and then my bass player from Praise the Fallen plays in Bosstel.
oh,
Well,
okay,
Ryan wanted to come back, and he joined Arson Radio. And then the two original guitar players from Arson Radio are back.
oh,
So
little reunion
I don't
time.
know,
Yeah,
the guitar player hit me up and said, "Hey man, I'm ready to put this on a stage." I'm like, "You should, because the songs are great. What we did was great." So since 2011, I've done other things. I
sure.
did a band in Chicago, and then I did Praise the Fallen, and then I've done all this stuff, and we ran into each other again. I did some vocals. I think it was last winter for a song, for a few songs we put
Okay.
together, and they're just awesome. You got to check that stuff out. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the new Praise the Fallen stuff is awesome too.
Wow.
Uh, Ever since we've added our newest bass player, Randy Davis, he's been with us now 2 years. Randy writes, Andy writes, I write, and with us having the recording software and stuff like this, I can write stuff here and I can send it to the guys and go, "Hey, what do you think of this?" With drums and everything.
Sure, sure.
Go here, learn this. The
And,
days of the
yeah,
days of rehearsing 3 days a week and stuff, you
yeah.
don't have to do that. If you're a pro, you can put a song together right here with drums and stuff, send it to your guys and go, "Here, if you guys like it, learn it. See it
And,
rehearsal."
yeah, and talk about being an independent artist. I mean, having your home studio, that's got to save a lot of money. I mean, being able to have that ability to just be right in and your home and do what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, to do a record like I did, you wouldn't be able to do this. I mean,
Yeah,
it came from my home studio to vinyl. That's amazing,
sure.
So I took advantage of it. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. This is cool, you know. And it took me a few years to get honed in on my production skills, and that if you listen to some of my older recordings, the production's not as good,
Yeah,
but you got to start somewhere,
sure,
you
sure.
know, and you just got to keep watching tutorials, learn through other people, ask them for advice. Never be too good to take someone's advice that might know more than you.
Oh,
It's
sure,
only going to make you better, you
sure, sure.
know.
I totally agree with that. And I mean, you're one of those guys that you've definitely got the experience. You involved in all these different projects. Now, when you go to writing mode, Jamie, do you know right away that okay, this is going to be for a solo album, or it's going to be for a Bostel album, or Praise the Fallen, or does it depend on what you're working on?
Actually, no. I just wrote a new song. I put it all together and stuff because I got excited after doing this record. I'm like, I'm gonna do another one. I'm stoked. I've already got 3 songs ready for the next one. Um, so I'm like, I wrote the song. I show my guys. I'll show my Praise the Fallen guys. I'll be like, check this out. What do you think of this? And we all
Yeah,
feed off each other like that. And
okay,
Andy, my guitar player, is like, "What is that?" I'm like, it's a song that's be on my next record. He goes, did you release it yet? I go, no. He goes, don't. We're gonna do that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
They get dibs if I show it to them
yeah,
and they like it and want to do it. They get dibs. You
yeah.
know.
Wow, wow. And I'd imagine doing a solo album like this, maybe there's a lot more freedom in the sense of like if you do a Praise the Fallen album, there's the fans have a certain expectation of what that's supposed to sound like. Where being your debut solo album, you kind of going, yeah, this is what I've always wanted to do. Let's see,
Well,
let's
what's cool about doing your own thing? Like the whole thing about doing this thing is freedom.
yeah,
I've been in bands where literally the drummer would be like, don't release that yet. Don't tell anybody. Blah 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 blah. I'd be like, dude, I'm too old for this crap,
yeah,
man. Come on.
yeah,
I didn't even make a big announcement or nothing. I just popped it out. And go, there you go. You know, my whole thing is if it's good enough, it'll catch wind.
yeah,
People
yeah,
start talking. That's how I look at it. I can make a big announcement and all this stuff, but it doesn't matter. The reaction it's going to get is what it's going to get. It doesn't matter,
sure,
in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. I think you're
And
right.
the, and the
Now, yeah,
cool thing about recording your own stuff is you don't have somebody say, "Hey, you should play the bass like this, or you
yeah,
should do this,
yeah,
or play the drums like this." Or I don't have anybody doing that in this room.
sure,
It's me by myself going, yeah, that's good enough. Cool. Put it out. And I
yeah,
can get it. Okay. I did a remake of 1979, the Smashing Pumpkins
sure, sure,
remake, paid for the license and stuff. So,
yeah,
Billy. um, but that took me 4 hours just to give you an idea.
yeah.
Whereas if you were to do it with a band, that might take hours. We got to figure this out and figure this out. And, you know, I literally did that song, recorded with vocals, everything mixed, mastered, done in 4 hours.
Wow, wow.
So you can do that, when you've got
See,
access like this. So
that's the thing. You got a real ear because you're a musician. To the typical guy like myself, maybe it's just a fan listening to the CD. I might not hear everything that you do. You might be more of a perfectionist, whereas I put on the CD and it's like, that sounds good. It kicks ass.
Well, honestly, Jason, my whole thing was when I first started doing this, I kind of stifled myself because I thought, I'm not a shredder guitar player. I do a lot of overdubbing and stuff like that. There's rhythm parts and then there's melodies on top and stuff. I'm really good at that. I've got a good ear. But as far as like shredding, like my guitar player in Praise the Fallen, I'm not a shredder. I can do what I can do, and at first it stifled me. I'm like, man, I don't know if people are going to be impressed with what I do, you know. But then I thought, you know what? Don't overthink it. You can't overthink it. I just watched I don't know if you've checked out the podcast with Billy Corgan called The Magnificent Others.
I've seen one with Gene Simmons. I haven't watched the other ones, but I have to.
Ooh, you got to watch the one with Diane Warren.
Okay.
What she said about songwriting and stuff is exactly me to a T.
Yeah,
This is my world. I'm away from everything in here. I'm in a whole different planet when I'm here, and it's awesome.
because you may laugh when I tell you this, but like I think it's kind of the equivalent of John Bon Jovi get up on stage and playing the guitar. It's kind of what he's known for, but he's more known as the frontman, the lead singer, if you will. He's got Richie Sambora or Phil X up there
Yeah,
with him,
yeah.
and they do their great lead thing. But when I think of Jammie Bosstel, honestly, ever since I've been following you, I think of you as a great songwriter. I mean,
Thank you.
that's the thing. When I put on any of your songs, before I even hear them, I know it's going to be good just because of your track record. That's the one thing when I hear Jammie Bosstel, I think of gifted songwriter. Your songwriting is what you should be. Well, you should be proud of it all, but you know what I mean. Your songwriting, I think, is what really stands out.
Well, that's the thing. Like these days, as far as like shows and getting shows for the band and stuff like that, I'm not playing out as much as I used to. I mean, I used to play everywhere.
Yeah,
Someone would hit me up and yes, yes, yes. I would never say no. You know, Praise the Fallen is selective about where we play.
yeah,
Bostel is selective about where we play. Arson's going to be selective. So in between, you know, also, as I'm getting older, there may be a day where I can't play shows anymore.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I learned when the pandemic happened, I'm sorry to bring that up,
Sure, sure,
but when that happened, I learned that shows can be taken away just like that.
sure, sure.
What are you gonna do with yourself? Well,
Mhm.
I need to dive into this world too. you know, and I love it, man. That's why, if I get a show, great. If I don't, I'm like, I'll be okay. I'll just do something in between.
Mhm.
I'll do a radio interview or an interview with you, or I'm working on something. I'm constantly working on something,
Yeah,
you
I'm sorry
know.
this has been out for just a few weeks, but what's been the response so far? Have you been happy with the response people have been giving?
Oh, I don't know if you know Pepper Gomez from
Uh,
Wake Up Music.
okay,
Um, she's got a few artists. The Almas are signed to her.
okay.
The band Ra was signed to her. Um, when I told her about it, she goes, "This is a massive release." I'm like, "Really?" I just look at it as like I had a bunch of songs sitting on my computer. It was time to put it out.
I
You
see.
know,
Yeah, I mean,
this is 4 years worth of work.
and
Four
you may not,
years.
yeah, you may not even realize it because it's you, Jamie, but I mean, anybody who's followed you, you got enough of an internet, following that, like you said, I think you don't even really need to have a big press release about it. People are going to know that you're
Well,
dropping. Yeah,
it's like I've been telling other people, like some of the younger bands that get kind of grumpy about not playing shows. I go, look, I said the internet is a stage nowadays too.
yeah,
You know, you need to utilize it, utilize as much media as possible, like you, Jason, getting my name out there. I'm talking to you in LA,
yeah,
I
yeah.
live in South Bend, Indiana. There's
Wow.
not much here, man. There's
Yeah,
there's sports bars and cover bands here. We've got a lot of tribute bands around here,
yeah.
as everywhere. I got friends that are in tribute bands. We've opened for tribute bands. We don't care,
It's
you
pretty
know.
bad, believe it or not. I mean, people laugh, but
There's
yeah,
some great ones, and then there's some. It's like, really, man. I'm like,
yeah.
there's some that aren't so great, but
Well,
there's some that are really
I don't know
phenomenal.
if you know the story or not behind Panther. The guy from
Mm-mm.
Steel Panther, he was originally the frontman in the Atomic Punch, which is it was their major band.
And
They were
hey,
the premier Van Halen tribute in LA for years. And then the singer left to join LA Guns of all bands for a few years. And before anybody really knew who he was, he left LA Guns to go back to the Van Halen tribute because he was making more money doing that. That's how he got the idea for Steel Panther. Why don't we do not just a tribute band, but a tribute to the 80s? And
I believe it. I believe it. Do you know who Jump is? Have you seen Jump?
I know I'll have to look them up. Yeah.
They play all over the world. They're a Van Halen tribute band. They
Okay.
all quit their jobs and they're making a living doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we opened for them.
I mean,
We,
Nita Strauss, who's playing with Alice Cooper, she got discovered in the Iron Maidens.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with it, man. It's just as long as you do it well.
Yeah.
If you're doing it, if you're doing it for the right reasons, cool. If you're doing it just to get attention and
Yeah.
instant crowd response or whatever, you know, yeah, it's a lot harder for original artists to get a following these days,
Yeah, that's what
but
people told me. But the tough thing about it with the tribute band, the easy thing about it is, you got to be able to play the songs like you said. You can't just get up there and
oh
not be able to play. But because you're playing other people's songs, and those songs are the soundtrack to our lives, if you know what I mean. Songs we grew up on, and so for
yeah, I
people,
have a friend that's in a Slipknot tribute band called Subliminal Verses, and he does a Korn tribute band too, and he's amazing. They're
yeah,
amazing. I
yeah,
saw them and they were amazing. I seen a Slayer tribute band that blew my mind. You
wow,
know, uh, a Tool tribute band, Lateralus. They're amazing. I
yeah,
saw them too. Incredible. There's some good, real good ones out there, man.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but
yeah. Let me ask you, Jamie, as far as being an independent artist, for years, the way of getting your music out there has been through the streaming services. What has that been like for you? I mean, have you been successful in the streaming services? Do you see the money right away rolling in?
no, man, I don't make no big money on it.
Yeah,
Like I tell people, I'm into it now. Like I said, after this record, and I listen to these songs and that, and I'm like, wow, man. And I'm not listening to a song, just as a song. I listen to production and stuff. I'm like, how can I improve it in the next record?
yeah,
And that I'm really happy to be a songwriter too.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
in between doing shows and being on the stage and stuff. This is the other part that has grown in me too. I really have a passion for writing songs and recording now too. I
it
love it.
comes through in your songs because again, if you think about it, Jamie, any artist worth their salt, like the ones you may laugh when I say this, but like bands like the Eagles, Tom Petty, and stuff like that. The Beatles, their songs are played on the radio 40, 50 years after the fact because
Yeah.
the songs were good.
Yeah. I know I came late in the game, you know.
Yeah,
If I was around in the 80s maybe and I was doing this then, maybe
yeah,
I'd be signed or be somewhere, you
uh,
know. I'd be making a living doing it. I'm also in South Bend. I'm not in Nashville or New
sure.
York or whatever. And if I wouldn't have took that leap during the pandemic, you know, when bands weren't doing shows, took the leap, said, okay, you know, because I remember in 2011 the guy's name's Jamie Dyer. He's a guitar player. He did the bass, he did the drums, everything for Arson Radio stuff that you hear
Yeah,
now. That'll change probably now that we have a band, but he did that stuff. And when he showed me that, the first time I met him and we did some songs together with programmed drums and stuff, I go, man, that looks technical. I can't do that. That's intimidating, you
sure,
know?
sure. But
So when the pandemic hit, I decided to dive in and learn it. And I'm
yeah,
glad I did because now it for me it's easy now, but it wasn't when I first started.
oh, yeah, like anything, hard work, it's worth the hard work to get to where you are now. I mean, maybe you came at the right time too, because there was a once upon a time you'd come around in the 70s or 80s, um, you couldn't get your music out there unless you were signed to a deal. But it's not that way anymore. And I
Well,
think that's a good thing in many ways,
I come from that era, you know. I've recorded in studio. I remember recording reel to reel, man. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah,
ADAC, the different studios like reel to reel,
sure.
ADAC. Then you went digital. You know, I've been in recording studios. You know, where that's why like when I met Jamie and he showed me that stuff, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to studio, let someone else do it. You know, mixing and all that stuff. I had to learn all that by myself finally
Oh,
because I decided it's like, well, one day I'm not going to be able to do shows, but I still love writing songs. I still love recording. So how can I do this where it's affordable and I don't have to go to a studio and drop $50 an hour or whatever? You know, you don't have to these days. David Draymond from Disturbed, he said that. He goes, the days of going in a studio and grinding it out are over, man. You would be surprised, like these newer bands, they use the program drums on their record
yeah,
and their drummer that they have, they might hire a drummer just
yeah,
to learn the parts and play it live.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but again, as an independent artist, think about all the money you save, and the fact that you can do it in your own house, you can do it, you know,
yeah,
at your own speed. There's not that rush to, hey, time is money. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
And let me ask you another thing about the new album. I love the video, this war called life. Professional looking video. I mean, that looks like something you would have seen on MTV back in the day.
for Bosstel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne Russell's son did that. Uh, yeah, Byron. Yeah, Breyer. Sorry,
Okay. Okay.
Breyer. Wayne Russell's son. He actually ended up joining the Coast Guard.
Oh.
So we haven't been putting any videos out because Breyer is like our main guy that does the videos. And
Okay.
Breyer helps Wayne out a lot. They do the video stuff together.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that when he gets on leave or something, we can get a video done. We got some footage done for Bird and the Berry, and we should be putting that out soon.
Wow, wow. Yeah, another song I want to ask you about that I really was digging was Breakaway.
I've got a lot of response on that.
Yeah.
That song, that song was influenced by Alice in Chains.
I can hear that. Yeah, yeah,
I was listening to some Cantrell when I wrote that one. And I was listening to Incubus when I wrote Something for Nothing too.
yeah.
So I'm inspired by my favorite bands for sure.
Yeah, the grunge era for me was an interesting time because I wasn't a big fan of a lot of it. Probably my favorite actually was Alice in Chains, I think, because they probably had the most of the Sabbathy kind of vibe. But Jerry Cantrell, he's just a standout writer in his own right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
forget about songwriting for a minute. His guitar, he's like a triple threat. Songwriting, he can sing. He had Lane Staley, of course, and he has the other guy, William Dafoe now. But
Yeah.
I noticed his voice meshes with other guys who he's singing with, you know?
Yeah, and his solo stuff's awesome, and I just love his guitar work, man. And when I hear something and I hear it, I hear I'm like, I want to try something like that, you know. That's
Yeah,
what'll click in my head. I was listening to Dream Theater today, and I heard some riffs and stuff. I'm like, I'm not Petrucci,
yeah,
but
yeah,
there was some stuff. I'm like, oh, I like that. I want to try something like that. And it isn't that I'm doing exactly what that person does or something, but like the offbeat, that's where it breakaway the offbeat jun 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 jun
yeah,
got
yeah. You can hear that. Yeah,
got, you know, it's offbeat. That's such an Alice in Chains thing, you know, or a Cantrell thing. And then it opens up. You know, I was also listening to Fuel too when I
oh, okay.
wrote
You can
that song too.
hear that too. A little influence in there. And then, YouTube is a big tool, obviously, for, people to get their music out on. I mean, how successful has that YouTube been to you? I mean, you seem to get a pretty good following. People check out all your stuff.
Well, we dropped out. I don't know if you checked out the Low video, Praise the Fallen's newest music video, the animated video.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to go check it out. But
Oh man, it turned out awesome. We paid some guys in Argentina an animation team to do it, and it's about bullying. That's what the song's about. If you listen to the words, you know, does it take you higher to make me feel so low? There's other people that do that to make themselves feel better, and they'll bring you down, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But I happen to be experienced to that, and that's what came out of me. I wrote that song, and I put it together with the guys, and then we made that video. We actually got it done through Fiverr. We hit up an animation team and we paid them to get the video done. And then our next video that we're supposed to do, we got to come up with the money right now.
Yeah.
We have a song that's going to be coming. It's called Sleepwalker that ties into the story of the other video.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to use the same characters for the next video. We thought that'd be cool, kind of a cool concept for PTF, you know?
Yeah, and it'd be cool too in a way to see how close to that people pay attention. If they even get that it's a a continuing storyline. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have like as far as your question about being an independent artist. I used to be the chaser. I was chasing record deals, trying to get signed,
yeah,
trying to get guys to go on tour and all that stuff. You know, I toured. I've done it.
for sure.
I was in a band in 2006 that opened for Stain and 3 Days Grace, one of my biggest shows of my life,
Wow.
and that really made me hungry for it. You know, but you got to have the right guys, man. And the right guys finally came into my life at a later age, you
Oh,
know, to where everybody's established. We got careers, good job. I got a good job. All my guys got good jobs and family and stuff like that. So, as far as me being an independent artist and stuff, I'm doing everything I can to get my name out there and put it out there that I am a songwriter, and that if someone wanted to come along and said, hey, I want to collaborate with you, or I'd like you to, I got some lyrics, I'd love for you to write some music for me, or someone famous needed me to write some music for them, kind of like Diane Warren does for
for
all
sure.
these artists,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would do that, no problem.
It sounds
For
like that's kind of happening with the Nirvana tribute that you were asked to do. I mean, that's cool. And when I say independent artist, what I'm talking about is the fact that thank God you've got those experiences. You said I've done it, and I'm still doing. I'm still getting my music out there. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, even when I was talking to you about possibly you being signed to a label, you said, well, let's talk about. But I'm working on something now, and I respect that because at the end of the day, who's going to represent you better than you, if you know what I mean, and who can sell you better than you. And at the end of the day, if people buy it, you're the one that's going to be rewarded for all the hard work, as you should. The money should go back in your pocket. That's kind of that's what I mean by an independent artist.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to put it out there in mass quantity,
Yeah,
without a label or
yeah,
whatever. I mean, that's the advantage of a label is they
yeah,
can help you with that. But usually, I mean, back in the day, they'd front you money and
sure,
it's like a bank loan. You got to pay it back,
sure,
And the
sure.
way artists, a lot of artists don't talk about. It's starting to come out now. Like if you watched, I don't know if you checked out, there's a really good interview with Billy Corgan on the Joe Rogan podcast.
I'll have to
And
check that out.
he tells it like it is, man, about the music industry and how labels are, and you know, about the pressure of having to pay that money back, you better get on the road, you
Well,
know.
Jammie Bosstel, my friend, it's been great catching up with you. We'll have to do this again. We're running out of time, but thanks for coming on. I'm gonna do my best to put this up by this Friday. So I will send you the link once I have the exact date for that to go
Okay.
up. But take care, my
Yeah.
friend.
You can go to elaststage.com, type in my name, and order yourself a record or a CD if you like from England. I mean, it's a little more for shipping, but I think it's worth it.
Okay, we will do that, my friend. Take care, Jammie. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
Anytime, my friend.
Have a good night.